Raizing! Raizing!
MAME phase.
Hello, good evening and welcome to another MAME stream on my channel. And once again, I've not really got a theme for this one. I've just picked a bunch of games and I'm going to play some of them today. Obviously, I'll be looking at the recent additions in MAME, the things that we added in the next version. But beyond that, I've just said I've picked a few games I want to play, and we'll see how many of them I get to play. And I hope you enjoy watching them. No, people mentioned talking about Scud Race in the chat. Scud Race is not going to be played because it doesn't really run in MAME, and these streams are about things that do run in MAME and things that are playable in MAME and progress in MAME and that type of thing. So if you've been watching any of the previous streams, you kind of get the idea of what I'm going to be doing here. If you haven't, then welcome, and I hope you enjoy what's coming up, because I do like to show what's going on with MAME a little bit, as well as playing games that have been emulated for a while, improvements, that type of thing. I mean, I'm starting today with a game on STV hardware, which is Terra Diver. There have been no real improvements to this driver, but I featured a Raizing game on PlayStation hardware, Brave Blade, a few weeks ago, and a lot of people didn't seem aware of it. They only seem to know the Raizing games that are on sort of the Toplan hardware, Batrider, Battle Garaga, the like. So I thought maybe covering this one, which is another one of the maybe slightly more obscure ones, would be a good idea. So again, that's kind of what I'm going for. I like to look at some of the more obscure titles, things that maybe get overlooked. Anyway, let's welcome people in the chat. Now, we have Cow, who is a regular here. We go Moo to Cow. We have Thomas, another regular here. We've got Bob, another one of our regulars. And I believe Bob had a random fact of the day, and it said he said happy September the 2nd, or happy British Empire adopted the Gregorian calendar day. So I can call today September the 2nd. If that hadn't happened, it would not be September the 2nd today. So let's have a look back. We've got Carlo as well, another regular. Aussie guy, another regular. Fellow Jasper, another regular. We've got Robert PL or Whitek, again a name I've seen quite often here. We've got Mitchell, another name I've seen quite often. Mo, another one of our regulars. And did I say I said the fellow Jasper, didn't I? The fellow Jasper and GSI Matty, not one I recognise that often, but yes, Good Race was awesome. I do look forward to the day it does play properly in MAME. We've got Marcelo, got Nojoto, and we've got Costardo, and I believe I'm all caught up. So if I missed anybody, I apologise. But this is the point where I turn the volume of the game back up a little bit. And then I turn the volume of the game down a little bit, because that's actually quite loud. And then I change my view after losing my mouse pointer to horizontal. I full screen it. Yeah, it's no problem, Nojoto. I mean, say real life gets in the way quite often, and my streaming schedule is kind of just random. So I fully expect a lot of people to miss streams I do when I just decide, oh, I'm going to do a stream out of the blue. But it's always good to have you here, even if you miss some. So it's always good. Anyway, yes, this is Terra Diver, aka Soukyugurentai. I don't know. It's in Japanese, and it's not the most. It's not a title that flows off the tongue, but it's a Raizing game from 1996, and it runs on Saturn type hardware. So we'll have a look at it. Nailed it. Soukyugurentai, do not use drugs, no cow. Terra Diver, you might know it. I think it got PlayStation ports. Oh look, it's September the 2nd, 2051. I think that's just reading the real-time clock and adding a few years on. Cheeky. Little one. So yeah, it's one of those where if you hold down the fire button, you get the special attacks, which are homing missiles, a bit like a Taito's Raise series. Also, you explode if you crash into bullets. Who would have thought that in a shooter? Now this is known for actually using the Saturn hardware quite effectively. It's got bosses that do full screen rotation by putting on tire maps and the like. Technically, it's a really good achievement for the hardware. Obviously, you've got your backgrounds there, looking slightly 3D. I don't know generally what the consensus is on how it plays, but it's one I've played a little bit of, but not as extensively as some of the others. And the emulation may not be perfect yet because, MAME's STV emulation in general, Saturn emulations, not all there. But it surprisingly did get a full English translation, so if you use the US BIOS, all the text is in English, the story's in English, the boss names are in English. So, Raizing did put considerable effort into making sure that people outside of Japan could play this one. Pretty good game. Yeah, Costardo, I think it is. And it doesn't really suffer from that early 3D problem either. It suffers from, I can't play the game because I'm completely out of practice, but because most of the graphics are 2D and it's using a lot of the effects of the Saturn, the rotation, the zooming, the line drawing for the radar, the cone there. It still looks good. It holds up well, much better than say a lot of early 3D games. And that's already when the Saturn was at its best, is when it was doing just advanced 2D. And this is a good demonstration of that. Spiritual successor of Rayforce. Were there any of the same developers involved? I mean, this was Raizing and Rayforce was Taito. You have feelings for this. On the same level as Final Lap, Cow? Or does it not compare to Final Lap? Yeah, this one's a hard one to get quite right in the emulation. The shadow effects have always been a problem in MAME. It used to run really badly, but these days the only thing terrible is my gameplay. Look, we've got your favourite thing, lasers. Not quite laser wheels, but close. Put a few more on the screen. You're pretty close to having those unpatchy laser wheels. And you're crashing into bullets again. One thing that does stand out to me with this game is the soundtrack. I think the balance is just about right. You can hear it over the music. You can hear it over the sound effects. Unlike a lot of shooters where the music just kind of gets drowned out by all the explosions. It's the right style of music for a shooter, I think. A game with a lot going on. Manages to cut through everything else. The PS1 version is slightly better because it wasn't published by Electronic Arts. I'm guessing in Japan none of it was published by Electronic Arts, but I don't know. Here's one of the bosses that I think is actually on a tile map and using the rotation. So when the boss rotates, it's not actually a sprite. I believe it's a tile map. There you go. See, tips to the side a little bit. Yeah, like all the Raizing games, it's the visual style is top notch. But you do have to concentrate, which is what I've not been doing when playing this so far. Yeah, you get that. There you go. Get another zoom effect, and it tips around and it blows up. Did Raizing make any bad game? You mean bad games? I mean Raizing, 18. Probably not. I mean, there's some that might not have mainstream appeal. I mean, I think they did the Golgo 13 game, which had never really appealed to me. But in terms of their shooters, I think they're all solid. And I think people like the other games too. They're just maybe not my cup of tea. No, a solid studio, but they're known for their shooters more than anything else. I don't know if they did any redemption games. Well, they might count as kind of bad. Now you'll notice there aren't an excessive number of bullets on this game compared to other games that were released around the same time. There are enough, but it's not overloading the screen. It's giving you a chance. That doesn't mean it's easy. I mean, you know, your classic shooters didn't rely on bullets to make the difficulty. They relied on patterns and where the bullets were aimed. Difficult to navigate sections. I don't know if the PS1 release was Japanese only. I mean, a lot of these 2D games were Japanese only on the PlayStation because, you know, I think that was policy back in the day, wasn't it? Is there a Bagman? I mean, Bagman's not on my list of games to play, but I could add it on there, but Bagman's one of those odd games that almost feels more like a home system game than an arcade. Even though it started out in the arcades as far as I know. This always reminds me a bit of Star Wars for some reason. This section. Very dramatic music, as I said. Kamen Rider games on the Wii. Did they actually make them or just publish them? There we go, nice another big boss. The console versions were only in Japan. So EA did publish them in Japan, did they? I mean, it surprises me all the time to see, you know, where EA were involved. Even if you get the old Spectrum games out, it's the odd one where EA were the publisher. So you kind of forget they've been around that long. Oh dear. As far as I know, the emulation on this one holds up in terms of performance. It's not one where there are massive frame rate drops like Raging Silvergun or Die Hard Arcade. So I'm failing quite miserably here. But yeah, if you like, you know, Taito's Ray Force, Ray Crisis, and the like, that type of game, this one's probably one for you. And the multi-part boss here with different parts rotating in different directions, again, I think that's done with different layers. And all the zooming in out. You can see why they called it Diver with all the zooming effects. We've progressed to September the 26th now. The Victimizer is our target. Beautiful asteroid field here. Well rendered. And again, this is clearly pre-rendered art, but it's pre-rendered art that's done well. So yeah. Yeah, it's worth checking on the PlayStation. I don't know how. I personally don't. I've never played the PlayStation version, so I don't know how it holds up. Not all Saturn games work too well on the PlayStation because they're very different pieces of hardware, and this does seem to be programmed around what the Saturn's good at. But that doesn't mean the PlayStation port to be bad if the effort was put in. I mean, much like the Saturn can't handle a lot of PlayStation games too well. Each system had strengths and weaknesses, and the Saturn was really good at doing 2D stuff, tile maps, rotating them, whereas, you know, the PlayStation was better at its 3D. Although it could still put out a good 2D shooter, the PlayStation. I've looked at like Harmful Park on here before, and that's a fantastic shooter. Is there a reason the Namco games don't have multiplayer, e.g. Ridge Racer? The Namco network chip isn't emulated. That's one of the big things. I mean, I think they used a similar chip on most of them, and it's not emulated yet. And then most of them require multiple cabinets rather than, you know, one board driving everything, so it's a bit trickier. I mean, there will probably eventually be ways to do it, but right now, yeah, even the network chip itself isn't emulated. And I think for Galaxian 3 that will need to be emulated, and for the link-up feature for the different screens on driver's eyes, it will need to be emulated. So there are good reasons to get it emulated that will probably later benefit the likes of Ridge Racer and the early ones, you know, your final laps. PlayStation version has an extra character that Saturn has better graphics. That makes sense. What are they like in terms of slowdown? Does this PlayStation one still run at full speed? Yeah, I'm just dying plenty here, so I hope you like explosions, but mainly me exploding. I don't like lasers. Lasers are the most unfair attack in any shooter. Yeah, this game is on Saturn hardware, basically. Anyway, I think you get the idea. We can probably move on from this one now. It's a decent Raizing shooter that tends to get overlooked. And morning lo-fi kills. Well, I mean, it's not morning here. It is 9:22 at night. But good morning to you if it's morning where you are. And yeah, I thought we'd have a quick look at that to start the stream. And then we'll probably move on to some of the more controversial things that have been added at the moment, at least one of them. This one's not seen much coverage, so I'll start with this one. 2051. Yeah, that's when the game started, September the 2nd, 2051. I don't know if it just adds like 30 years to the current date, or if it's always 2051. It might just add 30 years, because it does start on the day you boot the game up, I believe, like September the 2nd. So this one is one of the Sega sets which weren't added at the time because the way they were dumped was quite messy. They were hacked up in some multi-game and extracted from that, and they're a bit of a mess, and as a result the sets aren't really clean. This one, for example, is meant to have protection that's been hacked out, so gets marked as a hack in MAME. Now, this attract noise is possibly the most annoying attract noise ever. It's just beeping. And this game is a prototype, and I think maybe they would have changed that had there been a bit more development on this, because this is just annoying, isn't it? This is one of those games where you would probably want to turn the demo sounds off. But yeah, it's meant to sound like a news channel broadcast, but it just goes on for far too long. What is this? This is a prototype sequel to Head On that never got released. Maybe they were going for if they annoy people enough, they'll insert coins to make it stop doing that sound. But yeah, this is Head On Channel, an attempt at a 1994 sequel to Sega's classic Head On. And it follows the same basic formula, as you can see. But I mean, Head On already had sort of unofficial sequels, or in the form of things like Counter Run, which was very Head On inspired. And this almost seems a step backward from that. It doesn't really do as much, but we'll have a look at it and we'll play it. It's well themed. Again, we've got beeping sounds showing you the level order. Hey, Rara Paz, I hope you also have a great September. Good to see you. If this is a hack, how did it get out of Sega? That is a good question. And one of the reasons it's been a bit problematic. But I don't think there's any need to go into that here. I'd rather just demonstrate the game. Now, compared to the original Head On, the difficulty here is significantly lower. It's meant to be faster paced. You can clear everything much more quickly. The AI isn't quite as aggressive. So yeah, you get through the first level just like that. Hey Evie, I hope you're doing well, and I'm glad to hear you got home safe. I started this stream about 25 minutes ago, so probably going to be on for another 2.5 hours. So if you're still awake by then, and you want to talk, then I'll be around later, alright? But yeah, I hope you're doing good. But yeah, I'm just playing a rare unreleased Sega game right now. So it's a sequel to Head On, and Head On is kind of relevant at the moment because that SunA Electronics Runaway game was recently dumped, and that is another version of Head On, apparently licensed by Sega too. Yeah, you run over the dogs to get a power-up. You run over the dog kennels and the dogs appear, then you run over the dogs and you get a power-up. Not quite sure the logic in that, but that's Sega logic. So we've got a different level, a new theme. This is a musical theme. Kind of reminds me of the Data East game Rootin' Tootin' now, where that had you picking up all the musical notes too. But the basic head-on mechanics are in place here. If you're going slow, you can move across more lanes than if you're going quickly. So it's just the AI is significantly less aggressive, at least in these earlier stages. I streamed the Sunsoft game before. I don't know if I streamed it. I did do a video on it though. No Johto. Loading ZX Spectrum. It depends on which model you're using. I mean, if you're using Spectrum 48K, which some of the games require, it is trickier. If you're using a 128K Spectrum model, you can sometimes just select the tape loader from the menu. But not every game works on the 128K. Otherwise, I think it's 48K basic. J, then Shift and P. Twice. Yeah, I do still need to do some proper coverage of how to load games on some of these older 8-bit systems. Are there any other games that aren't due to... I think there's a poker game that's still not been re-added. For some reason the bootlegger complained that they didn't want their bootleg in MAME, and I don't know. I'm not sure that was ever re-added. Yeah, I forget the kennel's not the power-up. The dog is the power-up. See, even the mazes here aren't that creative though. I mean, they're still very basic designs. The positions of the gaps have moved around, so the places you can change lanes differ, but they're still these very basic circular mazes with little variety so far. Yeah, I don't understand why, because I don't know. I know Roberto added it at one point and then just removed it, and I don't think it was ever re-added. But I don't really understand why, because typically the policy is we don't care what bootleggers say. We only listen to the original manufacturers. But I don't know. No, you don't run the dog over. You collect the dog. Yeah. When the dog is in the car, that is when you're invincible. So no, you don't run the dog over. You free the dog. I don't understand if there's a points bonus for chaining the fireworks. You see, the mazes do get more difficult to get out of, but they are still always this circle pattern. That's bad. Now, I don't know how complete this prototype is, because I've never really played much of it. Oh dear. I'm not doing a very good job here, am I? But other than that, I can't think of anything else that's freely available and not included. Seems to be some sort of boss battle. I'm attacking the boss with things I'm picking up that are then almost respawning. That's a bit different. Oh, I have to avoid the... yeah. So that is a slightly different element that wasn't in the original head-on. I'll give it that. But yeah, I mean, this is really the first time I've played this extensively myself. I was aware of the dump for a long time, but just didn't look at it. it looks like it's got 2 players simultaneous support as well. I mean, I'm not playing 2-player, but looks like it might allow that. I like all the different themes they've got going on. The visual effects are good. I like the way the clouds are exploding here. That's an effective way of doing it. I do think it could have done with more depth to the gameplay. I mean, look, we're back on the most basic maze layout now. Whereas even things like Counter Run had, you know, mazes that overlapped, more complex designed figure eights, and so far, you know, I've been playing this for what, a good 10 minutes, and every single track has been really quite a simple design. I think that's just how this one is. Uh-oh. And it does fit quite well with the rest of the C2 library, to be fair. I mean, the C2 games in general are mostly quite simple puzzle-style games, simple concepts, executed with a bit of finesse. So, I don't think it would have been out of place. Channel clear, yeah. I mean, the whole thing, the reason it's called Head on Channel, I think, is because it's themed around this whole TV channels thing. And similar to Must Shoot TV did, the unreleased IT game. Now here, for the first time, we have a maze that is slightly more complex. You've got the different routes on the side. But it has taken until this point in the game for them to experiment with the more complex maze designs. Oops. Oh. Yeah, I think maybe they did want to be more faithful to the original. But the original at this point was, you know, a very old game. This is quite frustrating here. Okay, let's go around. I don't know, I mean, Head-On was a popular game outside of Japan, so, you know, the basic appeal was already there. Maybe the theming is a bit quirky, but we talked about that on the Puzzle Bobble stream with the Bubble Buster, and how Taito trying to strip the theming out of Puzzle Bobble didn't actually help. Apparently I'm turning over all the dice. Nope, crashed. Oddly, despite the ROM of this being available for a long time, there didn't seem to be any videos of it on YouTube. I mean, it's not the only time somebody hacking and bootlegging games has asked for something to be removed from MAME. But I say most of the time that those requests are just ignored because it's like, well, you don't own the game in the first place. It happened with the Snow Brothers 3 hacks. The company distributing those didn't want them in MAME, but they're clearly hacks of Snow Brothers 1. I didn't pick up the dog. I didn't pick up Pet. I can't always pick up the dog. Well, I got a big bonus for doing that. I must have done that one really fast. Again, you see, we're back to very basic levels again, just with different gaps in the circles, the rings. There we go. These levels seem a bit easier than some of the other ones. So, World 7. I mean, I could probably play this one to the end. It's not taking too long, is it? Growing flowers now. Oh, again, we have got a slightly different layout again. Oh, where are we going? There we go. I don't know. I mean, it seems to suggest there are 9 worlds to it, so I don't think there's that much left of this game. I don't think it's going to be an especially long game. What do you mean by never being completed? There are some unfinished games in MAME where the actual game was never completed. If you mean games where nobody's ever finished them, I doubt it. I mean, maybe some exceptionally bad ones nobody can be bothered with. No, that's probably why it was never released, Mo. It's not really doing enough, is it? It's not really adding any new elements between stages. It's just mixing up the graphics. There's no power-ups to speak of apart from, you know, the dog. Nobody's ever... I'd be surprised if there were games that nobody's ever beaten left, unless they're unbeatable games. But I don't know. I mean, there's people who've made like ending sequence videos for pretty much everything in MAME, even the worst of the worst games. So I'd say it would surprise me greatly if there are still games that nobody's finished at all that have an ending. A lot of people get confused over Sega's Action Fighter, and I think that doesn't have an ending when it does. But again, it has been completed. There are people that know how to complete it. Yeah, some of the cave shooters are very difficult on 1 credit. I don't know if any of them have never been completed. Hey Stephen, I'm doing well. I hope you had a good holiday before. Oh, we've got a Sonic themed world here. That's cheeky. Cheeky little Sonic themed world. Well, not that cheeky, but you know. I'm going nice and fast. Sonic would be proud. There we go. Yeah, so it's good to have you back anyway. And have you managed to catch up with any of the streams, or are you still in your backlog? But yeah, some of the cave bosses, the unlock conditions are quite extreme, but then there's so many people playing those to a high level, or have completed them with cheats. I mean, you know, people, even if people haven't completed games legitimately, I think a lot of them will have been completed with cheats on. So yeah, we are dealing with more difficult layouts here. Eventually. But it's taken until this point in the game for any really creative layouts. But I wasn't expecting a Sonic themed level, I have to say that. But again, it's not adding any new gameplay elements, it's just changing the tire pattern. I've not done any clips of my own streams. If people want to clip them and upload them or suggest clips for me, I think that is more of a Twitch thing. Hey the Ogre, welcome. I'm glad you could make it again. I mean, even if you've not been on the streams, you've been incredibly helpful as always with, you know, the timestamps and everything else, which YouTube does now allow me to even paste, you know, into the video descriptions and generate a proper chapter display. I don't think the AI in this knows how to deal with the more complex mazes though. Does it work? Lots of DIY. Yeah. You have a clip where I crash into a cow. I crashed into many cows, cow. I think you can clip the streams once they're in videos later, but I don't know. I've never tried. I mean, we had that one boss battle level in this game. I don't know if I triggered that in a special way, but it seems like that was the only boss battle level, which is kind of strange, because I was going around the edge attacking something in the middle by collecting things. But since that level, I've not seen that formula used again. So what, we're looking at one boss battle in the whole game? Really early on? The clips aren't even public. That's... See, it sounds like they've only kind of half thought out their idea for YouTube clips then. This is probably getting a bit samey, but you know, we've come so far with this one, we may as well finish it off. It's not a hack, Stephen, in the sense that it's an original Sega game, but it is a hack in the sense that the game was hacked, the prototype was hacked up to run on a multi-board, and the ROM we've got was extracted from that multi-board rather than being a proper dump. But this was meant to be a proper Sega game until they decided to not release it. Now you see, we have a proper maze design. This is like the most complex maze design of the whole game. Safari Valley. I maybe need to play a bit of Safari Valley on stream at some point. You see, at this point, the game is starting to have some like an interesting design like that. But then, straight away afterwards, we're back to a very simple layout again. Yeah, I think the PCB theme has kept me playing. I did like the Sonic theme. I do like the PCB theme. I mean, in general, the themes on this game are really well done. It's really the gameplay where it's lacking. It just doesn't offer much. And some of the themes can be a bit tricky to see where you can go. Although once you can move across on the chips here. That's. I noticed the AI is a bit more aggressive now too. Come on, let's clear that out. Let's clear that out. Oh, I was going to get away with that one. There we go. Yeah, I played a bit of Safari Valley. It's the one where you it's a bit like a scrolling Pac-Man, isn't it? Where you change lanes all the time. So okay, we've got another boss. It took a while to fade in the background, but yeah, this is. Again, this is like we saw earlier. But it, once again, doesn't seem to do anything the previous boss battle didn't. It just seems to be a repeat of the same thing, just with a different background. Even the attack patterns look the same. But yes, Safari Valley is definitely an interesting one. I wonder if it was licensed as a head-on clone, actually. It definitely borrows gameplay ideas. But yeah, this boss battle's not really offering much. There we go. So Safari Valley was developed by the same people as Phoenix and Naughty Boy. Thank you for the fact there, Aussie guy. So is that the end sequence? Is this telling me congratulations, or is this saying this was just a test version, or I don't know? The Sega News. It still uses samples. A lot of old games still do, unfortunately. So the end sequences just show me the different levels, the different characters I've beaten. I don't know, Mitchell. I mean, it's better in the sense that there's more content than the original Head-On, but the original Head-On's a game from the 70s. For when it was meant to be released, there probably isn't enough content here to make it a worthwhile game. But that's again probably why it ended up not being released. And this isn't much of an end sequence either, it's just showing me everything I've beaten. But yeah, I always look forward to seeing samples replaced with proper sound emulation, Stephen. But there's only a select few developers who can really do that. And they've got plenty on their plate. Yeah, it is just the usual settings that a lot of games fall back on now, but they just try to give it a reason for that. I mean, why would you have your car driving around in Sonic Land and PCB Land if it wasn't related to something on a show? I don't know. That's quite a nice touch, I think, although it hurts my ears. There you go. Yeah, for like it's 94. It's meant to be 94. The Yoga, so yeah, not enough. I mean, that's the whole game. You've seen the whole game now. You can speed through it and game over. But yeah. So Head-On channel. I mean, if it was really cheap to put out, and I think the C-board was quite a cheap board, maybe they should have put it out. There are worse updates to classic games, but it probably doesn't really offer enough, does it? Okay, Stephen did mention Safari Rally. So, yeah, why don't we have a quick look at Safari Rally? In fact, you can instantly tell, yeah, it's very Phoenix-like, isn't it, in the font and everything else. I'd never noticed that before, but yeah, the same Phoenix font, same presentation style for the table drawing here. Unfortunately, I don't have the samples installed, so I don't think you're going to get any sound. Oh, I do have samples installed. I thought I didn't. But yeah, it plays like Head-On, where you've got to clear out the lanes, but it scrolls. But, you know, you've got your gaps where you can change lanes, but instead of being a static screen, it just keeps repeating the loop. I mean, in that sense, I mentioned Sega's Action Fighter earlier, and the arcade version of that also has you looping around a map until you've collected enough things, although not dots in that case, it's the special items you need. Yeah, the mechanics are very similar here. You're going slower, you can move between more lanes. You can strike the snakes and lions for bonus points. So you can hit them, you don't have to avoid them. I was trying to avoid them because they're snakes and lions. Oh yeah. Yes, it's a very big explosion, isn't it? I don't quite know what's on board this little car. But, I guess they give bigger points. But, yeah, this does take the concept of Head-On and does a bit more with it. Good evening, Peter. I hope you're doing well. Good to see you. I've just been playing the Sega head-on channel, and as Stephen mentioned Safari Rally as being a head-on-like game, I decided to fire that up too. We did clear with many credits head-on channel. So I hope you're doing well. In fact, I hope everybody here is doing well, if I haven't said that already. You played this one a lot. The car is made of TNT, Johnny. The car may be delivering a fireworks display somewhere. I'm not sure. Can't get to the line. Don't know if that was good or bad. But yeah, I can see why this would be quite an addictive one. And yeah, until Aussie Guy mentioned it as well, I never realised just how close the presentation is to Phoenix. It doesn't have the background, obviously, but the rest of it, yeah, there's definitely a Phoenix feel to this. Just without the shooting. That was bad, eaten by the lion. I figured I might have been eaten by the lion. You have to sort of collide with the side of the line, not the front of the lion. Kind of makes sense. Yeah. I think I just became, you know, a delivery service for lion food right there before. Yummy car. Not spinning isn't enough to be, you know, spicy like a final lap car would be, but yeah, I think the line did enjoy the explosive breakfast. And Mick coming in with, I'm assuming what is the translation of the head-on channel end sequence there. I'm sorry I have come. I will return to my original form, but if you just watch TV, you'll be freaking out again. Goodbye. That makes about as much sense to the rest of the game. I mean, trying to fit a story into... Oh dear, I get eaten by the snake too. That's a big snake if it can eat the car. Anyway, I'm not going to spend much longer. I think that's enough Safari Rally. You see what it's all about. It doesn't really change much. But yeah, it's a fun little older game, and definitely one that is worth your time, I would say. So I want to go to a classic for a little bit, because I think I don't play enough classics on this stream. So I'm just going to go, you know, one of the all-time classic arcade games, and that is Tapper. Yeah, the car is smaller than a lion, but it's clearly bigger than a snake. Yeah, I think you have to hit them towards the middle or the back, otherwise you get eaten, the ogre. But anyway, let's have a little bit of Tapper. A very stylistic game. You know, it's a stylish game. It's a bit like playing a cartoon, but a cartoon with gameplay. You know, the visual style is very much that. You need to master this one. I don't think it's an easy game to master. It's a game that was often copied as well. There's lots of little clones of it in those plug-and-play devices. But yeah. I like the way the glasses look like they've got little faces on too. I think this was in arcades, Bob. Oh yeah, I should have been paying attention there. Now, I am actually... there is a hack version of this, not in MAME, where it's the characters replaced with Simpsons characters. But that hack always disappointed me because it doesn't actually replace the text with Duff Beer, as you might expect it to. Oh, missed the one at the top. He's tapping. I don't think you can get Black Cow vodka on tap. That would be that'd be quite a mistake. I feel, Cow. I mean, it'd probably stop the customers coming back because they'd be passed out at the end of the bar drinking a pint of Black Cow vodka. But oh yeah, there's a mechanic where you can run along and get the cash, of course. But that stops everybody for a bit, doesn't it? But then, yeah. Not an easy game unless you mastered it. But yeah, I do think there should have been a proper Simpsons hack, not just the rather cheap one that we got. Oh yeah, you can move straight up and down. I forget that too. That is one of you don't have to run back. I do forget that sometimes. Oops. And yeah, the dancing customers don't pick up drinks. Forget that sometimes too. Yeah, Tapper is a really good game, Cow. It's just one of those classics. An original concept. I mean, I'm surprised there wasn't sort of a Game and Watch version of this type of thing. Because I think it would have worked there as well. But it is one of those games with a similar sort of style of gameplay. It's a test of reflexes, watching lots of different elements on the screen. Maybe there just wouldn't have been enough elements to do it as a Game and Watch. Well, I'm trying to run to the top again. There's still one of these in a crab restaurant in Maryland, is the main fan. Doesn't surprise me too much. I mean, I say it is one of those classic games. It doesn't really get old. The gameplay is never any worse. And I don't think it's ever really been done better. I mean, we looked at, we looked at Head On earlier, where Sega had tried to rework it into a more modern game and didn't quite pull it off. I don't think there is an official updated version of Tapper for the arcade in any form. So, this experience you can only get in the arcade if you've got an original Tapper machine. Also, welcome, main fan. I don't believe I've said hello to you yet in the stream, but it's always good to see you too. Oh, no. Oh dear. Yeah, Timber and Domino Man, I think, is on Tor 82. They were both on my shortlist of games to potentially look at today. I think I remember reading it was based on an employee or something at the company. Yeah. You can go in time. Get ready to serve. Yes, I haven't been quiet. It does require a fair bit of concentration to play, which is oh no, I messed up there. Lack of concentration. Was it really distributed by Budweiser? I don't know if it was distributed by Budweiser. I'm assuming they had permission to use the Budweiser logos. Yeah, so Tapper. It's an all-time classic. I don't think anybody's going to have seen a game they've not seen before in me playing this one, but say I did want to just play, one of those classic arcade games that, it's right up there with your Pac-Man and your Space Invaders. These early Midway games, Bally Midway games, like Rampage, they are classics. And a lot of them had the same kind of, original ideas that you found in Atari games at the time. I mean, Atari did Paperboy, Paper Round Simulator. And here you've got Bartender Simulator. And again, a lot of those games, nobody's ever quite done the same thing or done it better. Marvin, Glass and Associates, Aussie guy says, Timber, Tapper, Domino Man, Wacko, and Cosmic Cruiser, and yeah, they've all got that very similar cartoony art style. Let's look at something altogether more modern. This is Carnival King by Increadible Technologies. It runs on the Increadible Technologies Eagle platform, which is the same one that the Golden T4 games run on. So it's basically almost a MIPS-based PC, really.
Hurry, hurry, hurry. Step right up.
So,
Play Carnival King. Just aim and shoot. Choose from 3 parts. Arcadia, Dreamland, or Lagoon Park. Shoot the clocks for extra...
Atari were all about custom controls, yes. They did like their custom controls, their trackballs, especially early on.
Do you possess the endurance of
Anything else, not quite standard.
what it takes to be crowned the ultimate Carnival King?
So this is one of those variety shooter games. So we'll credit up.
How many players today?
One player.
Where would you like to go?
Shall we go to Dreamland?
Dreamland, world of mystery. Shoot to select.
Let's go with the balloon wheel.
We tell you the color, you shoot the balloon. The action starts now. Full trigger to start. Round 1. Shoot blue, yellow, red, orange, purple, red, blue, green, red, yellow. Time's run out. You've extended your time. Don't forget to shoot the sets of clocks. Round green, 2. Yellow, red, yellow, purple,
Oops.
blue, yellow. Don't miss the clock. Red, green, purple, orange, blue. Time's run out. Enter your initials.
Just stutter a little bit every now and again.
H, Z.
For some reason this screen only runs at 75%. Not quite sure why.
15,000 points get you a bonus round and a chance to be the next Carnival King.
So shall we go to the Haunted Hunt?
Haunted Hunt.
Yeah, lots of light gun games are fun if you've got light gun. I'm on mouse right now, but this one works quite well.
All the spiders. What skill?
This is very well presented. I mean, it's a voodoo base. It's got all the flashy effects you'd want, all the zooming, all the transparencies you'd want. And again, the audio presentation's over the top too, so you've got this announced the whole time.
Time's run out.
Not so good.
Extended time. Round 2. Smash all the pumpkins.
And smashing pumpkins.
Bonus.
Pretty much Billy Corgan.
Skull bonus. Almost out of time now. Go for all the shadows.
But yeah, when you look at this game, you can see the standard that IT really wanted to go for with their shooting games. And if, I played that Must Shoot TV prototype before, and you can see how that doesn't come close to this. It's point blank without being point blank.
the sliding bottles. We're on to the challenge. Round 1. You got the neck. Aim for the necks. All clear. Aim for the neck for big points. 3. There's the bonus clock. Don't forget the clock. 4. Hey, you're running out of time. Perfect. Neck bonus. Time's run out. Extended time. Don't forget to shoot the sets of clocks. Round 2. 2. Go for the next.
Fruit ninja with guns. Yeah, that might be one way to describe it.
Perfect. All gone. 3.
Very fast paced. I mean, that's the one thing we've got with Incredible Technologies. And these games,
Bonus bomb.
the pace was there.
Almost out of time. All clear.
You've been pressured against the clock the whole time.
Time's run out.
I mean, this feels like,
See what you got.
you know, the Carnival theme makes this a natural sort of unofficial sequel to Sega's old Carnival game where you were shooting bottles and ducks and everything else. So that wasn't a light gun game,
For the bonus round.
but you know, the theme was there.
The ro- 3 hits defeats each robot. Round 1.
This makes good use of the 3D hardware too. It's not just a plain 2D shooter. I do like these Carnival themed games. Obviously Carnival, the Carnival is also a good one. Don't play that very often. That's an on rails light gun shooter, whereas this is a mini game shooter.
Hurry up, we're almost done here. Time's run out.
I mean, if you want a light gun these days, I think the Sinden guns are the ones people go for.
All right, let's finish up this park. Let's see how you did. As the score tallies up, the tension mounts. You're the new Carnival King.
There we go, I got the
Thanks for
Carnival
playing
King.
Carnival King. We hope you've enjoyed your stay in Dreamland. Tell all your friends. Don't forget the souvenirs on your way out. Remember to stop by and see us again. But don't forget all the other parts.
Yeah, this is one of those games that holds your attention with the presentation.
Welcome to Carnival
And
King.
you say it does cost a fair bit of money. You have to use a whole $2 to play everything in a park. And there's 3 parks.
Enchantment. Shoot to
Yeah, it's definitely worth playing this on a cab, Mick, if you got a gun.
shooting gallery. Time to hunt. The action starts now. Pull trigger to start. Round 1. Stupendous.
But yeah, I think they got the presentation spot on.
You're running out of time. Nice. Time's run out.
Hey Christian, welcome.
Extended time.
I hope you're doing well.
Round 2.
Good to see you as always.
Unbelievable. Wild, I tell you.
So yeah, I mean, I much prefer this over other Incredible Technologies games. I mean, the Big Buck Hunter series is
Nice display.
a bit dull, a bit too serious.
Your time is up.
But this one hits the mark as far as I'm concerned. Also, yeah, hey, the Gaming Hell YouTube thing.
For your initials.
Nothing wrong with being a bit late. I mean, everybody has their own lives to get on with. Now, I don't know why that screen runs so slow. Maybe it just needs some optimizations, but there's a noticeable slowdown to about 75% on enter your initial screen. Cluster Buster. That's the name of the Data East game.
Of one color. The challenge is on. Round 1. Pick a color. Shoot the rest. There's the clock. Bonus seconds. Build full sets of one color and get the bonus clock. Hurry up, we're almost done here. Time's run out. You've extended your time. Don't forget to shoot the sets of clocks. Round 2. There's the clock. One more time. Build a yellow set. Build a purple set. Choose a color. Shoot the rest. Build a purple set.
Oh yeah, it just went into that, didn't it?
Your time is up.
That's how you get the most points on that one.
Well, let's see what you got.
The hardware is generic. I mean, it's a MIPS-based PC, basically. I think they run a version of Linux on it, Carlo.
2 more games for the bonus round.
But it's not really about the hardware, it's about the game they made. I mean,
Round 1.
and I think they did a really good job with this one.
Right on. Perfection. You get the bonus clock. 1 more time.
Well, for some reason, you know, this wasn't IT's big hit. Their big hits were always the Golden Tee games.
Time.
But, you know, they still put a significant investment in this game.
Run out.
I guess the big button the games were probably popular over in the US, although we never really saw them over here.
Round 2. A bonus star. Shoot the gold card. Aim for the bullseye. Bonus star. Shoot the gold card. Shoot the center. Hey, you're running out of time.
Then if you're limited on bullets, you just
Your
keep
time
hitting
is
it.
up. Shoot the star to win big. With the eye of an eagle and the reactions
Right.
of a cheetah.
Let's play the last game on
One more game for the
this Arcadia area. And then we'll probably move on to another game.
The action begins.
Shoot the
Round
cats.
1. Dead eye. Can it be done?
It's quite forgiving on the aiming too.
There's the bonus clock. None left.
So if you miss,
Little time.
you see, even if you miss the target, though, it animates it a little bit. It moves the hair when you don't quite hit the target.
Your time is up.
It doesn't just act like you missed. You get a bit of feedback if you're slightly off.
Oh, green one. Wild, I tell you. Look, the green guy.
I mean, a lot of the modern arcades are filled with games like this. You know, target shooters.
Time is running.
And I guess this was kind of an early example of that formula. It was really over the top, everything going on everywhere. Shooters. There's some I think Raw Thrillers have quite a few like this too. Though these days they're all for tickets rather than genuine gameplay and points.
The crowd waits to see what your final prize is. You're the new.
I guess I'm Carnival King because it's going to be based on the high scores of previous players. And there probably are no previous players.
Arcadia. Don't forget the cotton candy. Remember to stop by and see us again. And don't forget all the other parts. Hello, your
So,
friend. We hope you had a great day at the park.
there you go. So that's this is Carnival King, yeah, and it's a fun light gun shooter that I get the impression is often overlooked. So you know, I wanted to feature it on here. Where next? Let's go with an old Taito game that may benefit from analog controls, but we'll see how we get on. This is Change Lanes. Now, this is from, let me check, 83. It's a pretty old game, pretty old racer. Another one of those that was heavily requested prior to being emulated. And is on quite funky hardware. So, what buttons? I may look at OOParts, Aussie guy. Oh, this is quite Twitch. Okay, let's try running this one with mouse and see if it plays better. So you've got 2 gears forward and backwards. And it's a bit like a Monaco GP style game, but with a perspective view. Go in the water. Yeah, but if you get stuck against something, you have to go backwards. And I don't know if the collisions are 100% because I think this is one of the games with hardware collisions. And so if there's anything wrong with that, it's not going to play quite right. But yeah, this one is one of those that was really difficult to get emulated. So, do I change lanes? Yeah, unfortunately Monaco GP itself is non-CPU, Stephen, so I can't be playing it on these streams because it's not emulated yet. It's probably the most complex non-CPU game ever. So getting back on the road is tricky, which is why I do wonder if the collisions are quite right in this. It's so easy to end up off the road and then in a mess. I don't think this drive has been looked at in many years. I don't think there were really any original references around when it was written, so I only had 0.3 miles to go. So, you know, I don't know how this actually compares to playing it on original hardware. Yeah, there were quite a few games that did hardware scaling back in the day that were impressive. True Panic's probably my favourite example of it. The Nitchibutsu one, but also by Alice. Obviously Turbo did it in quite an impressive way of its own. Splendor, Ballast, even some of the black and white ones. Yeah, sometimes you just slip off the road here and I don't know why. Hey, my. That was clever. Oh dear, I'm doing worse this time. Yeah, I'm stuck. I mean, it might just be quite a primitive game. That might be why you get stuck, but I don't know. Did worse that time. Bally Midway turned this one down, did they? That surprised me. I would have thought they would have wanted to distribute this one. Oh, instantly I'm off the track. I don't know. The controls feel a bit off somehow. Again, I don't know why it's just suddenly slipped to the side there. I didn't move the controller to the right, and I just veered to the right. No cows to hit in this one, as far as I know. Kind of frustrating. I'd love to play this on original hardware to see how it's meant to play, but I doubt I'll ever have that opportunity. Again, it did it again. I didn't press right and just jump to the right and knock me off the road. Yeah, 83. I mean, maybe for 83 this isn't that impressive. I don't know. Maybe it's slightly late to the market in 83. Try playing on again playing on keyboard. Just suddenly I just go to the right there for no reason. Again, what's going on? I think there were emulation issues here, to be honest. Again, what sent me to the right there? Nothing. That one was 3 years later. Yeah, technology advanced very quickly back then. Yeah, the car seems to have a mind of its own on that one. I don't think it's emulated correctly. So we will move on. I did want to play that one a little bit, but yeah, I think that's one of those old drivers that was impressive at the time because it ran at all, but maybe could do with some work, if we're quite honest. So let's switch to a shoot 'em up. This is a Gratia Second Earth, a Jaleco game. Yeah, maybe not bad for 83. I don't know. If it played better and didn't keep sending off the road to the right for no reason I can understand, I might appreciate it more. But I think the emulation is a bit dodgy, or there's just something about the game I don't understand. Anyway, this is one of the Mega System 32 games, which is a Jaleco platform that I think gets overlooked. It's one I emulated back in the day. It's one where the games are really badly coded and rely on RAM mirrors all over the place for no obvious reason. And the emulation isn't quite perfect yet either. The mixer chip's not fully understood. So some priority issues in these games. But for the most part, they are playable. It's one of those with lots of hidden things in the background you can bomb with your secondary attack to get more points. Fairly standard power-up system where you collect the same colour thing to get stronger power. You know, you ride the style system. And you've got 3 different weapon types, I believe. So I'm maxing out this one. So you've got your ground shots, your air shots. Very side-on serious. What's Cow saying about 360? Hold on, I'm just going to change the inputs on this because I don't think it uses all 5 buttons, but I can't be doing the key conflict. Have a bomb. You're bold, young warriors, another time. And the boss flies off. No, there aren't that many from a side-on perspective with the 2 attacks. I mean, there were enough. But not as many as there are vertical Xevious clones. Now, the pre-rendered graphics here are unspectacular, I'd say. Oh dear. That's not to say they're bad, they're just a bit ordinary. I used to be able to beat this boss easily. It's a case of getting out of the way. It's a case of making sure the attacks come to you back here, I think, and then getting in the right position. Not crashing straight into the boss like an idiot. Also, obviously, some of the attacks are better than others because this one gets it wherever I am on screen pretty much. Stinger, yeah, I think I played Stinger on stream before. The Cebu game. That's the guy. Yeah, maybe this is, you know, low budget Pro Gear. Although it did come quite a bit before Pro Gear, to be fair. Get a nice soundtrack though. Decent soundtrack. Can't complain about the music. See, I don't know if this is correct, because it writes the bomb counter with the text there, as if it should have maybe cleared it off the screen, but I don't know. I'd have to see if there's original original footage to show if that's correct or not. Sadly, no fancy blending on the clouds, so the clouds look a little bit ugly here. I have to say, I don't think that's a main bug. I just think there's no blending on the clouds. I don't think the Mega System 32 hardware does proper blending. Just some weird shadow effects. Yeah, you have to concentrate, unfortunately, because it is a checkpointed shooter. And if you lose all your credits at lives, at least you start back again. Get rid of the turrets quickly, otherwise they're quite dangerous, although everything's quite dangerous. You can die so quickly in this game. Yeah, visually, I mean, it's better than some. I mean, it's better than, say, Ironclad on the Neo Geo, which is hideous. But it's free-rendered done on the cheap, isn't it, this one? As you can see, I'm not very good at it. But I don't think it plays badly, it's just not very pretty to look at. I'm a terrier. A middle-aged woman is appearing right now. I don't think Pro Gear ripped off this game, Burn Type R. Oh, look, we do have some fancy low scroll effects on the clouds now. Pro Gear just happens to be another horizontal shooter that is obviously a bit more famous than this one. I thought I was doing okay for a moment. I think Pro Gear has deeper gameplay mechanics in this as well. This is very, very simple in what it's doing. Not my favourite Mega System 32 game. I think that would go to Desert War, which is kind of Shoplifter-like, but a bit more shooty. So. Okay, we've got a big ship. Bad move. Must have been afraid it was his wife. Maybe. Let's try this again. Again, there are checkpoints at the start of the levels and at the bosses, so you do have to learn them. You can't just feed your way through. Well, you probably could if you joined in a second player, to be fair. If I was about to die and I joined in a second player, I'm sure I could credit feed that way. But that's just the cheeky way of doing it, isn't it? See, no. I've probably got a little bit of insurance now if I die. Oh look, I get my lives back. Yes, you can cheese many a shooter that way. Was designed by Fisher-Price. Says Mo Burma. I think you find that with a lot of Jaleco games, unfortunately, Carlo. They don't always seem to be the most balanced of games. Fons Rail. Well, they've got the elements to make a game, but they feel a lot more like modern games where everything's just thrown into a blender and not thought of at any further level in terms of balance. It's like, yes, we've got this, we've got this, we've got this, and they don't always know how to make a good game out of it. I don't think it's a bad game, but it's it's just a bit generic, a bit, yeah, blast everything, mindless. The patterns are not especially creative. So I said Ironclad on the Neo Geo is uglier, but Ironclad's got a more interesting mechanic with the, you know, slightly R-type like system. Bit sexy as well. I'm back at the start level. Yeah, Jaleco generally, yeah, a lot of janky stuff. Definitely a budget developer. I'm struggling here. Let's get player 2 out again. The Mega System 2 hardware was another one of those encryption challenges back in the day as well. Because I remember when I first started emulating it after the... I did the Sega System 32 hardware with some help from the people who did Modeler, and then start looking at other V60, V70 based games in MAME. And this is one of the ones I was worked on, and it's one of those that initially I got running without any proper graphics, because a lot of the graphics are encrypted. I think the text layer at least is encrypted, and I think maybe the background tiles, I can't remember. But I think it was Nicola who decrypted them back in the day, that thus actually giving better graphics to the driver. You know, a lot of that gets forgotten these days because it's just a time data function in the driver that works and has worked for close to 20 years. And everybody forgets the decryption work was even needed. But there was a lot that needed decrypting back in the day. And they both died at the same time. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. Yeah, City Connection was a good one, but isn't that an NMK game? I think Jaleco's best games are all the NMK developed ones. So yeah, that was Gratia. So it's a very sort of middle of the road type of shooter, but if you've not played it before, it might be worth playing. I did say I'd look at the other ones of these recent Sega editions. So let's have a look at OOParts. Now, this is another one of those prototypes that was not released. It's related to the Cotton series and is by Success. Unfortunately, the version that is available, and likely the only version that will be available for the foreseeable future, is this joystick version. If you go into the test mode, you can see it was meant to have dial controls because it's got a 3-digit number for the left and right. But this version is very much joystick. It does have an English story though if you set the region to USA or export. Well, this quite famously ended up being previewed in a Japanese magazine as farts, because the P on parts looks like an F. And the OO doesn't even look like part of the title. But apparently this was called OOParts, which, yeah, is a bit of a nonsense title. Means out of place artifacts, does it, the gaming cow? But yes, it did end up being called Farts in a Japanese magazine. City Connection was developed by Hecht, was it? Oh, I didn't know that was a guy. I thought it was one of the NMK ones. I don't believe this has any nudity, Neil. Otherwise, I wouldn't be risking streaming it. You select your level. Apparently, there's no Uranus, so we'll go to Mars. Oh yes, so you've got your left and right. If you hold down the fire button, you do a faster movement, which means you can ram the sides, which does change the ball path. But basically, it's a Arkanoid type game. Now, one of the other issues with this is the PCB this was on has the sound ROM from Thunder Force, and Thunder Force isn't even a success game, so I don't know if this does actually use those samples or if it's using the wrong samples, because a lot of events don't have sounds, but that could just be because it's a prototype, or it could just be the PCB, you know, had the wrong ROM on, and unfortunately due to the way in which these ended up being dumped, I don't think that's ever going to be resolved, because unfortunately, yeah, a lot these Sega games ending up being out there burned a lot of bridges, and have probably resulted in an awful lot of other prototypes likely never going to be in MAME. But it's unfortunate, but that's just what happens sometimes. Yeah, had these not leaked out the way they did, there were about 5 or 6 other prototypes that were going to be added, but that's not happening now. But yeah, I think this one seems alright. I'm not quite sure why this one didn't get released, to be honest. Maybe just the market wasn't there for a breakout type game at the time. But if you look at something like Psikyo's Gun Barrage, that's got more of a pinball mechanic, but in terms of mixing things up in a breakout type game, I feel this is kind of similar. It's not just plain, you know, Arkanoid. There's a bit more to it. Yeah, the other one was SegaSonic Bros Gaming Hell YouTube thing, which I may also look at. That one has since been hacked to there's bootleg cartridges for the Mega Drive for sale of SegaSonic Bros. I think that's one of the reasons it was decided to just add these in the end. It's because, you know, at this point the bootleggers are making money off them on bootleg conversions and even bootleg Mega Drive cartridges of the games converted to run on them. So yeah, a lot of the damage has been done here, unfortunately. Now, I don't know what controls the pouch you've got. I guess it's just the audio pick them up or something like that. So I've used a power up there, which has made that bird thing fly around. And good music on this one too. Don't know if these tunes got used anywhere else, but yeah, I was impressed by the music here. Yeah, hitting the side can be important because if you want to say change the angle of the ball, hit it against the side a few times. It's a good mechanic in this type of game for making sure your ball doesn't get trapped as well, which is a problem quite a few games of this sort have. Now, I don't think I'm going to complete this one the way I completed Head on Channel, because I think there's more. This is a longer game. Yeah, it's a shame the proper dial set isn't available. I believe that's a separate ROM set anyway. Yeah, the art is really well done. I mean, of the 3 games, this is the one that surprises me most that it didn't get released. It seems to be a really polished effort. Mars Ring 1 clear. This hardware is Sega C2 hardware, Bob, which is basically a Mega Drive with slightly better palette hardware and better well, different sound hardware. It doesn't have the Z80, but it has a different selection of sound chips. But it is the key components of the 68K and the Mega Drive VDP. People have meltdowns over anything, lo-fi kills. I mean, see the attention Marble Madness 2 gets, even though that is just an absolutely terrible version of Marble Madness. The quality of the game doesn't really matter, although in this case, I actually think this is probably a pretty decent game if you like this type of game. Yeah, if you like breakout games, I think this one would be on your must playlist. You know, like Capcom's Block, Psikyo's Gun Barrage. There's just lots of nice effects going on. The whole colour transition there. Lots of touches, lots of polish. Maybe not always clear what you're meant to be doing, which is a bit of a flaw. You've also played Marble Madness 2, have you, Gaming Hill? Yes, I don't think anybody's played that and said it's good. It's Atari. It's again, we did that whole Atari stream of Atari's rather terrible output of around that period, and yeah, Marble Madness 2 is up there with that. Oh yes, Danger Express was such a good game, wasn't it, Bob? We should have absolutely put that out instead of Guardians of the Hood. And people would have had an entirely different idea of Atari's quality around 1990. No, they really shouldn't. Atari, I don't know what happened. Say, Atari was such a good company in the 80s. So many original ideas, so many original concepts, and then just nothing. Just such bad ideas, such bad execution. It was almost painful. I think they paid too much attention to what people were saying they wanted. You know, digitized graphics, Street Fighter clones, and just forgot to do what they were good at, which was, you know, innovating. Yeah, you know, Atari prototypes from the 80s, good. Atari prototypes from the 90s, bad, basically. Same as the rest of the games. Riddle of Pythagoras. Yeah, that's a good one from Exoplanning, Aussie guy. Again, another driver I did was the System E driver, which instead of being based on the Mega Drive is based on the Master System, but with doubled up VDPs. But yeah, some of those Exoplanning games are quite interesting to see, and that's one of them. Not good looking, but it plays well. In fact, that's probably one I should do on stream at some point. Wasn't planned for today, but yeah, maybe I could have a look at Riddle of Pythagoras in a bit. I think you get the idea of what OOParts is, at least. Atari went from trendsetters to trend followers. Yeah, exactly, Johnny. I don't know why, but that's exactly what happened. Anyway. A good looking game. And I'm sure one that, you know, you breakout fans are really going to enjoy. Also, you know, Terra had games like Gox, which is a twist on Breakout. Arkanoid. I think Exa did Megumi Rescue, and that's one of those System E boards we've not managed to get dumped yet. We missed out on one when it was for sale some years ago, unfortunately. But yeah, Megumi Rescue, the proper vertical arcade version that I think uses a dial. I'd love to see that dumped, but I don't know if it's ever going to show up again, because it's shown up once in like 25 years and we didn't get it. So, I don't know. Riddle of Pythagoras. This was mentioned just then in the stream, so let's have a look at it. I think the Lynx was a pretty good system. The Jaguar was plagued by technical problems and people doing bad ports that didn't even use the hardware properly. So Riddle of Pythagoras, yeah, this is a Sega Nasco Exoplanning game. And it's another sort of Arkanoid themed one. Oddly, for an arcade game, has a continue feature on the insert coin screen. But so it's more your traditional 8-bit one, so less complex graphics, but a good variety to your power-ups. And you pick up different, you know, you've got power-ups that you can collect for different parts of the bat. So let's put this one on the right-hand side. There we go. You see, well, I had a double laser, but I got rid of it. Now the key will open the top up there. There you go. But yeah, this has a sort of maze-like structure with these bonus items. So if you open up the top of the maze and then you match the symbols, you get bonuses. And again, it's a bit more advanced than a simple Arkanoid clone. So yeah, I do like the Master System Megumi Rescue, so I'd say I would love to see the arcade one day emulated. Considering how bad some of the System E games that have been emulated are, I don't know. I don't know why Megumi Rescue is the one that hasn't shown up. I mean, if you look at like the ice hockey one, that is just dire. Yet that has been dumped. Now the enemies going under the bricks in this is not an emulation glitch. That's just how the VDP mixing works. That is confirmed on hardware. For a while we did think that maybe there was a priority glitch. Bit slow down on this one, owing to it being a Z80. I mean, it's not really a riddle. It's got a puzzly style to the graphics. But you're meant to be exploring this pyramid, aren't you? And all the traps contained within it, and solving it. So, I'm surprised Angel Kids wasn't on this hardware actually, but it wasn't. It was on its own unique special hardware with a split screen effect. Oh. Which I think is going to have an original hardware glitch in a certain scroll position, which somebody pointed out to me in the main driver, and now I can't unsee because it happens in the track mode. But I think that might be a timing thing, but it does look like it doesn't update the timeline quite correctly. See? Now the lights are out. You have to get the little torch. There we go, now I can see the level. Now I can't see the level because I changed my back type. Now I believe this is one of those games that has hidden code for 2 players simultaneous in it. Which doesn't get you... Oh, so it's a new game. I didn't do that. But yeah, Riddle the Pythagoras. Don't think we need to play too much more of that. But that's another decent little Arkanoid clone. That, you know, if you've not played it, is worth playing, I'd say. So we are almost 2 hours into the stream. I'm wondering where we go next. Let me have a look at my list of games I've got... for potential play. Shall we play something not very good? Let's play Best of Best by SunA or SunA, I don't know. This is one of the 16-bit games. It has a 68K and it has 2 Z80s, which I believe are dedicated sample players. That one may get played later, Lo-Fi Kills. I'm trying to spread them out a little bit. Yeah, I mean, that firefighter game on the Jungle Attack units is actually really good, Aussie guy. It's one of the better games on them. I think I did a long play video of that game, the good version with more of the levels. But yeah, I did instantly recognise that as a Megumi Rescue clone. Obviously reprogrammed, but... Right, shall I be Abdul? Now, it just tells you your moves here. This is a stinker indeed. It's one of those games also that tells you your moves as you're playing it. Look, it tells me what I can do the circle and punch 2 to do a move. But this game is called Best of Best, and any game that has the word best in the title twice, you do know it's going to be bad. Yeah, it's probably meant to be mono Lo-Fi Kills. I mean, most of these boards were mono, so it's probably just incorrectly set to stereo. You're hoping I can get to a New York background. That's asking a lot. But you can tell how much this wants to be a Street Fighter 2 level. I don't know what it said there. Yes. Just a little bit of SF2 inspiration here, Christian. The sound is definitely sometimes in one headphone. And Victor and Loser. Oh. Why do I get to select my character again between rounds? To be fair, I have played fighting games that play far worse than this one as a casual player. But yeah, it's... This is really, really janky in general. The moves are complete rip-offs too, if you've noticed. I get to attack the opponent when on the floor. Okay, thank you, Gaming Harry Chicken. SunA like to use any kind of classic tune they could. It's what their games are kind of famous for, so yeah. But if you play Ultra Balloon and things like that, they're full of classic tunes. To be fair, they're not always bad renditions of them. But it's kind of what defines and gives the SunA games personality beyond just being super janky Korean games, is their sound. Oh dear. Yes, they are boasting with their title, aren't they? The 94 Motor Show here. If we wanted a truly janky fight, I could have put on Alien Challenge by IGS. That makes this one look good. Yeah, it is actually quite playable. I mean, it's low budget nonsense with terrible rip-off characters and animation, and it's probably not well balanced, and there's probably loads of exploits, you know, for multiplayer, but as a casual game it is quite playable. Yeah, the sample playback hardware is basically a Z80 that does nothing but plays back the samples. Doesn't even have any RAM. It's a dedicated Z80 sample player. Oh, so it says that if I attack them when they're on the floor, right? I get it. I get it. It's basically saying I fought in an unmanly way. Yeah, so spine does look slightly worrying, doesn't it? Yeah, telling me the computer's moves does not help me. This is probably as far as we get, though. You can repeat the grab over and over. That doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me at all, Johnny. Write my name. Haha. Oh look. Fire and spark hair. 1000 punch. Dark Age by Sega. I have played Dark Age by Sega. I don't mind it. It's Dark Age isn't very well emulated, and the background colours are a bit of a mess in MAME. I win. Let's see if I can do that again. Apparently not. I got 1000 punched. Yeah, spamming the same inputs over and over again. It's a rhythm game. Yeah, the samples are quite bad. Now we are fighting against Clear Hook. Oh, yeah, I see what you mean by the New York background. There is a screaming Statue of Liberty just climbed up. But that makes no sense. That makes no sense whatsoever. Yeah, this is definitely what New York looks like. This is definitely a background. I mean, it's saying I'm unmanly, but I am not actually a man. Bogan. I suppose this also qualifies for a Twin Towers stream if there's ever one of those. Games that could not be released unless somebody removes the Twin Towers. Alright Neil, take care, thank you for joining, always good to see you, and thanks for the donation in the previous stream too. Anyway, I think we've seen enough of Best, and New York. Yes, cruel. I mean, how many fighting games have crawling animations? But there you go. SunA or SunA's Best of Best, which is quite a game. It's kind of bad. It's not unplayable. Yeah, okay. May as well look at the other one of those hacks of prototypes that has appeared. So, SegaSonic Bros. Pieces drop down in blocks of 4, and basically you have to enclose areas so they disappear. There are 3 different colours, and yeah, that's how it plays. Reminds me a lot of Taito's later game, Cleopatra Fortune, and it has been said that this did start out at Taito and it got moved to Sega afterwards. Sega blocked me from adding this, but somebody else added it, so very columns like difficulty select, but we're starting easy. But you see, if I make the row, enclose the bottom bits in blue, they vanish. Yeah, created a bubble bobble. Originally at Taito, then somehow it ended up being a Sonic game at Sega, and then it didn't get released. That's why I think the similarities between this and Cleopatra Fortune aren't going to be coincidence. I think you know, Taito likely took some of the ideas that weren't used here when they designed Cleopatra Fortune, because they are just they're too similar for me to say it's a coincidence. Unfortunately, this is one of those that doesn't have any kind of computer opponent. You're playing entirely against, you know, an increasing difficulty level rather than any kind of AI. But you know, at the time that was probably more common. Games like Pure did start to add the AI. But if you think like Columns and Tetris, there was no AI, it was always you against, you know, an increasing level of difficulty. But yeah, ultimately, once this leaked, people converted it, hacked it up to run on the Mega Drive, and those Mega Drive starts ended up being sold on like AliExpress, and the whole thing just turned into a giant mess. Ideally, it wouldn't have been leaked at all, and we might have seen it by other means. I think I remember reading there's music hidden in this one from that ended up being in Sonic 3 or something like that. It can be quite difficult to recover once you end up in a mess, unfortunately, as I am now, which is maybe one of the design flaws of the game. Mitsuji left Taito in '98 and worked as a freelancer for companies. He started a game design school. I didn't know that either, was he, Guy? Are any famous games a result of that game design school? '89. Ah. Yeah, I guess the other characters didn't exist at this point, or at least hadn't been implemented in Smedis, so they just used recoloured Sonics. Yeah, I'm going to quit. Not quit. I'm going to kill myself off. And just start it on the higher difficulty level so you can see. So you see. So it starts a bit faster. If I was good at this game, I'd be making chains and not just simple rows. But I think one of the problems is nothing really changes. At least not that I'm aware of. The game sort of sets out to do what it wants to do, and then just, much like the head-on one we saw, never really deviates from that. And again, this is where, if you get yourself in this position, it's really difficult to recover. Because you end up with like a single column that's too big, and no easy way to get rid of it. So I don't know if you can recover from this position. Which is kind of, you know, a bit of a flaw in a puzzle game if you can end up in an unrecoverable situation so easily. Yeah, you mentioned Bonk's Adventure before, Aussie Guy, I think. Didn't know about Amiga Fighter. Tinkle Pit, yeah, that's a good one. That kind of makes sense. But yeah, the game design here does seem to have flaws. At least as far as my understanding of how you can recover from any situation is. Any good puzzle game should never become impossible to recover from. You know, you shouldn't be able to make it impossible. There you go, I got a cleanup bonus. And I think this one, at least by my understanding of the mechanics, you can leave yourself in no-win situations too easily. So again, it's kind of easy to see why it didn't make it out the door. No, can't do it now. Anyway, so that is SegaSonic Bros. It's an okay concept, but it seems to have flaws, and probably why it remained a prototype. But I did mention Cleopatra Fortune. So let's have a look at Cleopatra Fortune. Turn the volume up, because like any F3 game, it's going to be on quiet by default. Volfied wasn't great either, though, unfortunately. I think he must have been very hit or miss. I mean, obviously some great games, but Volfied is just like kicks, but say it's not that interesting. At least not to me. But Cleopatra Fortune. Now this is what Sonic Brothers instantly reminded me of. This came later, I believe. Yeah, 96. But here, you know, you are surrounding gems with these solid blocks, and when you create a solid, you know, containing area, the area vanishes. So, you know, to me this is a very similar concept, but the advantage this game has is that it's not always 4x4 pieces. So, you know, one of the problems with the Sonic game is because it was always 4x4 pieces. You often find yourself, well, you couldn't slot them down where you need them to be. You couldn't wait for a piece that was a more suitable size because there were no pieces that were more suitable size. You see, on this game, it doesn't really punish you for building up quite high stacks either, in the same way. So I can build quite high here and still feel I'm comfortable. Well, if I don't do that, anyway. You know, it's always possible to mess up. There we go, though. And that's what I wanted to do. Oh yeah, and this is one of those with the vocals in the music. So if you like your games with vocals, I still, even if there was no official recognition of the Sonic Brothers game, though, I do wonder if there was an old design document they dragged up, because, like I say, the similarities just seem too close. This whole surrounding area mechanic. Obviously, here it's just done so much better, though. This is a genuinely good puzzle game. And there are lots of genuinely good puzzle games that get overlooked. Namco's Emeraldia is another one that I really like. Doesn't mean I'm good at any of them. Oh dear. That's it. As you can see. Oh, this song was reused, was it? Gaming Hell YouTube thing. I was not aware of that. Yeah, the opening stage of the Dodonpachi 3 has vocals too, doesn't it, Cal? I think Cave did like to use vocals in places. But yeah, Cleopatra Fortune. Say, to me that is similar to SegaSonic Bros, but just a much better game. I don't think I need to play another credit of that. I think you've seen it. But to me, this is one of the best games on the F3 platform. There's also a Cleopatra Fortune Plus on Naomi hardware, but that doesn't run too well in MAME yet, so can't really be playing that one. I'm playing this set. It's not so much a bootleg as a bootleg conversion. It's just an English set, so I wanted to run it in English. No other reason really. So where next? Okay, let's go with one of those confusing MAME situations. Let's play SNK's Bermuda Triangle, which is not a game I know much about, so please excuse me being terrible at it. But look, danger, danger, Bermuda Triangle. Your website has a lot about Cleopatra Fortune if I want to search for it. I mean, if you post a link and it doesn't get automatically moderated, I'm sure the moderators here can allow it through. Anyway, here is oversized ship shooting game.
Emergency. Emergency. Land on deck bin. Warning. Warning. Emergency. Alpha mission start.
So this kind of reminds me of Bioship Paladin, in the sense you're picking up all these bits that surround an oversized ship, but this is obviously a vertical game, not a horizontal game, and doesn't have the other mechanics of Bioship Paladin. Honestly, this game just seems to be one of those completely all over the place games that makes no sense to me. What is meant to be going on? But yeah, again, early SNK, well not early, but mid SNK, before the Neo Geo. Now we're going backwards. I'm assuming picking all these things up is good. But quite what this has to do with the Bermuda Triangle, I don't know. Power down? Get these as a power... I'm losing power. I'm getting power. I don't know. I don't know. I can change formation with the other button. Apparently it blew up. Now I'm going back up the screen again. So yeah, I have tried playing this one a few times and always just ended up kind of confused. It seems to be throwing a lot at me with no particular design. Yeah, this Bermuda Triangle, you just think of a big square of ocean and ships getting lost and craft getting lost, not some slightly odd futuristic shooter. With lots of speech. Which sounds kind of like it's saying report bum hurt. But it's probably not saying report bum hurt, because that would be a very silly thing to say. Or thumb hurts maybe. But I'm not using my thumb, I'm using my middle finger to tap with the button, so my thumb doesn't hurt.
Enable control. Ship return. Report. From heart. Report. Emergency. Emergency.
Yes, Nostradamus is actually on my potential list for today, Smedis. Maybe Bomb Heart. Apparently it's checkpointed, so back to the start again. But yeah, this is one of those SNK games that I rarely see anybody talk about. Again, your ship's too big to avoid anything most of the time. I've lost my bombs, I think. Yeah, I did want to say it. I don't know why we go backwards again, because it feels like you're counting down the distance. Maybe I didn't meet an objective I needed to. Honestly, this isn't clear at all. Yeah, I don't know what's happening either. I've never been sure what's happening with this game. I mean, I'm just going to keep blasting stuff until I get to the boss again or whatever it was. And try and avoid things. Back forward we go. That came up too... I have no power down. So yes, what does this have to do with the Bermuda Triangle? Why does my ship keep changing form? What do these different forms mean? Would the instruction card have explained this game? I think I died. I don't know if it's good or bad. And now apparently we're travelling through time. To a time zone that has no real meaning because it's still 300 years in the future. Games with time travel. How many of those can we think of? There's a Time Pilot, there's Time Soldiers, there's this. Any Doctor Who game, probably. It's just saying any random words at me it wants to. Yeah, Turtles Through Time, that's another one with time travel. Anyway. I've still got lives left. Still don't know what standard power and safety in the corner mean. This game is just confusing. Crash, yes. Oh, apparently we've got another boss or something. Or I don't know. I don't even know why it's got a distance meter at the top because it seems to be meaningless. It's just information overload of everything. That wasn't a boss, that was just a mid-boss. I mean, there are other quite confusing shooters. Taito Skullfang definitely is up there with its speed up and slow down mechanics, but I don't think this has any such mechanics. This is just... I don't think you control anything apart from what you're shooting. Time killers, oh dear. I mean, games where they've just got future zone and past zone probably aren't really counted. If they're not displaying a date and it's not actively showing you you know, some kind of time travel mechanic, I'm not going to count them. Am I still alive? Apparently I'm still alive. And this isn't even the most confusing thing about this game. I'm going to come to that short. I'm still alive. Game over. The speech sounds like it's something from the Zero Wing Mega Drive intro. Zig, damage, bomb, heart. Set us up the bomb. I don't know. Yeah, okay. Please write first. AAA. Yeah, it'll be played back through the yeah. So, that was 1987. Yeah, and you know the fun part. That's not the only game SAK released as Bermuda Triangle. They also released this game as Bermuda Triangle for the US market. Looks similar. It's basically not even the same game. It's got some similar elements, but this thing is far less chaotic and far more standard shooter. Now the reason this is called Bermuda Triangle World Wars is because this version of the game was also released as just World Wars rather than Bermuda Triangle. But for some reason, yeah, SNK decided to put their entire Bermuda Triangle intro and presentation on this, and also call it Bermuda Triangle, just to, you know, completely confuse matters. But this is just... yeah, this one is way simpler. This is more a traditional shooter. You can tell you've got your main fire weapon, you've got a regular sized ship, you're shooting regular targets, you're bombing regular ground targets. It actually makes some degree of sense. But yeah, they put their entire Bermuda Triangle intro, just the same, exactly the same as the other game, onto this version of this game. Despite the fact this game was also released as World Wars. So if somebody remembers playing Bermuda Triangle back in the day, you wouldn't even know which game they were talking about, this one or the one we just played. Because they are not the same game. Oh yeah, there's definitely... It's like they reworked the game entirely. Maybe they just realised it was too confusing and didn't want to see a lot of what they'd done go to waste. I mean, we're seeing similar situations like with Capcom and LED Storm, aka Mad Gear, where it got reworked and eventually renamed. But I don't know. So this is just your standard shooter, really. It's less memorable, but I'm not sure being memorable for being completely incomprehensible is a great thing for the other one. Oh, and my counter just counts down, which kind of makes a lot more sense too. I'm not suddenly scrolling backwards when I think the counter's going to have finished. I got a map. Spin-off of Alpha Mission. I've not played much of the original Alpha Mission. Alpha Mission 2 is another one of those which is difficult to make sense of unless you know what you're meant to be doing. No, it didn't even scroll backwards. It kept my scrolling in a nice, sensible, forward direction, with the counter up there just seemingly acting as a a counter to the end of the level. Just checkpointed though. But anyway, you get the idea. I'm just gonna quickly show you World War. I'm not going to play World War, but say that this is for the non-US market. That game that we just looked at was released as World Wars. And no, we still don't know what it has to do with the Bermuda Triangle. But you see, this still has the triangle fade in, fade out effect. But otherwise, all that Bermuda Triangle theming and the warning Bermuda Triangle in the intro is gone. This is just called World Wars with its entirely different presentation. But you can see this is the same as the second Bermuda Triangle game we played, not the first one. But we don't really need to play this anymore, you can see what it is. But yes, Bermuda Triangle is one of those games with a very strange history that I don't know the story behind it. I don't know how come there were two different games with the same name. But there are. And we have to live with that. So many region differences. It's almost like the game is never finished and they just keep developing it and changing it and putting out different versions of it or something. Where should we go next? Let's go... I think I played this one before, but why not play again? Roll the Jammer from Nitchibutsu and Alice. Nitchibutsu and Alice also did things like Tube Panic, but they did this one, which is Roll the Jammer. Okay, avoid the flags. I'm not. It's even advertised as Tube Panic there. Oh yeah, I've got the screen wrong, haven't I? Sorry, let me fix that. Forgot to change it. For some reason, I did think this was a vertical game. I don't know. I think the speech quality in this did get worse at some point. I think there might be a MAME tester's bug for that. Because, yeah, the speech seems to be broken at the moment in MAME. Or at least very low quality. I do think it used to be better. Yeah, it's got a similar feel to it to Fighting Roller from Kaneko. You're right. I mean, I would say it was a toss-up between the two. I decided to go with this one. Yes, I think the sound emulation did regress at some point, Lo-Fi Kills. I don't know when it regressed though, but yeah, I don't think it's meant to sound quite this rough. So, I'm also reminded of things like Taito's Riding Fight, which is an F3 game, which is one I considered for the stream. Again, that's an into the screen sort of fighter, but with you moving automatically. So yeah, if anybody knows why the sound is so bad, it'd be interesting to know. Unless it's just one of those cases where it's really overdriven or something and it's just distorting everything. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think you're meant to knock people over to pass them. At least that's how I'm playing it. I'm playing it like roll the bump and jump. Lots of adverts for other Nitchibutsu games that Alice developed. Oh dear. Power outages are never fun, Lyoga. Okay, the spikes say jump on. That might be good advice. Nice of them to write jump on the spikes. There you go, crazy climber. Nitchibutsu with the owl logo. Cycross. We've got to be a crazy climber again. Tube Panic. Oh dear. What's this other one? Speed something? Yeah, the Nitchibutsu Alice games are all quite impressive visually. Now this always feels a bit easy, like you get too much game time, so I don't know if there's something missing, but maybe that's just how it is, or maybe it's set too easy. Not all games have to throw you off immediately, but I always feel like if I'm playing this one, I do end up playing it for a bit too long. Like, the arcade would not be making much money out of me. Especially when all I'm doing is really mashing and dodging things. Yeah, 84. Not as impressive as Tube Panic. I mean, I've put Tube Panic on before. I've played Dacola before, aka Kick Boy, isn't it? That's another one that got completely rethemed. Super Slammers. So yeah, I'd be interesting to see some original footage of this. I don't know if there's any about. Probably quite an obscure game. Oh. This is where I lose though. There we go. Game over. I mean, I like Dacola as a game. It's a good one. Difficult one, but a good one. So yeah, that was 84. Say, Roll the Jammer. I will briefly put on Tube Panic because I do think Tube Panic is still the more impressive of the games. I'm not going to play it extensively because I played it before, but Tube Panic, also from 84. This one's Fujitek actually. I thought this was Alice, but maybe Fujitek is similar. But this one, this is 84. So yeah, I think had I been of the arcade going age in 84 and seen this one, I would have been rather impressed. This one hurts your brain. Yeah, it's a very fancy rotation effect. Look at this. Ooh. You definitely don't expect to be seeing this on hardware from 84. Fully rotating tube and rotating graphics. It's kind of impressive. Yep, this predates Space Harrier. And Space Harrier wasn't even doing rotation. This is an impressive one. Maybe not so much in the gameplay department, it's quite a simple game. But technically, yeah. I mean, I think it's done with dedicated hardware circuits. So, you know, the circuits can't do too much beyond what you see, but what you see does work really well. We've got about 15 minutes of the stream left, so I'll play this one until I die. The pattern does change a little bit, as you can see. So it's not always the same tube effect, it changes slightly as things progress. But unfortunately, that is all you get to see of Tube Panic, because that's where I died. Now, for some reason, I thought this one was Alice, like Lola Jama, Fujitek. I get things wrong from time to time, like quite often. But there you go. Fujitek is separate from Alice. Very little information. I think it's just because they're both games use quite fancy sprite scaling and other effects. Magmax does the same as well. But yeah, I can understand them being separate as also. Where should we go next? Shall we? Yeah, I'll play that one. Can't remember how to play this one, but I'll play this one. Yeah, I need to vertical myself. Taito's Complex X. I believe this is one of the Taito America developed games. But yeah, Complex X is one of those that has a kind of Zookeeper-like feel to it. What are the controls? It's two stick. At the same time, so 2 sticks and a button. But like a lot of these games, it's also quite similar to the Williams games. So, you know, it's got that Defender type feel to it, but also a Robotron feel to it, and a platformer, and a Zookeeper feel to it. It's a very confusing mix of different games from different companies. Oh, yeah, you have limited ammo as well, just to make things that bit trickier for no reason other than because they can. And yeah, I'm not very good at it. I probably need a better jump button than control, I'm not sure. Then I need... Hold on, let me try this on pad actually. It might work better. Trying to play this one on keyboard is not easy. Let's see if that helps. Yeah, Tube-It is, I think, a prototype version of Cachet, or you can also region hack it to be that version. But at least in MAME it's quite buggy, so I don't really know. I guess they went with that version because of the English version, but at the same time it seems like a strange decision. This game is not easy. So you can't jump in. In fact, this game's probably just really badly designed, if we're being quite fair. Yeah, I'm trying to be kind about it, but look, I'm underwater now. No. No, I don't want to be down here. I'm running out there. Nope. I don't know why the gun's so loud. And then we start again. But yeah. This game feels more like you know, a home computer game than an arcade game. It's one of those. It's like, did anybody play this in the arcades? I literally never see anybody mention it. The jumping is awkward. You can't jump properly when you're against a wall. You can't jump properly when you're on a ladder. You can't jump properly when you're on a moving platform. Space Dungeon. Yeah, that's another one that's on the same hardware, isn't it? Missed. You can't jump through platforms either, you have to jump at the right time. So yeah, we decided to finish on this absolute classic. That's really not an absolute classic by any stretch of the imagination. Oh dear. Back in the water I go. Uh-oh. It's the Sonic water level rising thing all over again, but without Sonic. Your jump is so pathetic too, you can never get on the platform you want to be on. Unless you know exactly what you're doing. And jumping onto the ladders, again, requires ridiculous amounts of precision. There we go. Oh. I completed a level. Now suddenly I have another level. Teleport! Ooh. Almost. But, yeah, I've had this one on my list for several streams and never actually played it. Also, I kind of get the feeling, you know, the Pit. If you ever played the Pit, which is like a Boulder Dashy clone, I get a similar, you have to play it the way you meant, a very specific way. Oh dear. And now I have to go up the long way because the power thing on the side has run off. But yes. No, I'm getting work. Just let me drown. It is incredibly annoying, Bob. It is an incredibly annoying game. And look, back on the first level. So, Complex X. Maybe if you practice it, you can get good at it and it'd be, you know, kind of different and worth playing. But it's really just making me want to break things. Where shall we end? Let's end on something that's not very well emulated. Let's end on Pilot Kids, a Model 2 game from Psikyo. Now, this one surprises me because for a long time in MAME, it would just crash as if the protection had failed on the first level. And then when we were looking at fixing TDP bugs or CPU bugs, we kind of tested the game and found out it no longer crashes on the first level. So, yeah, I don't really know. But it's Psikyo trying to do a 3D game. Now, there are lots of priority bugs because the Model 2 emulation is kind of bad. But at some point, the game did actually become mostly playable, aside from those bugs. So it no longer crashes. Before, the whole 3D would just break very shortly into this level. BBH1CC Complex X. That kind of doesn't surprise me, but also horrifies me. So you lose your ship going under there at the moment because of the priority glitches here. Now, I don't think anybody's going to say this is Psikyo's strongest shooter. It's kind of weak in terms of the 3D as well. But it is interesting to see what happened if you when you gave them a 3D piece of hardware. I mean, like I was saying, we're looking at Raizing's 3D output on the Saturn-based hardware and PlayStation-based hardware. So seeing what Psikyo just did with them 3D is also interesting. And this is more of a traditional game than, say, Zero Gun or their other 3D effort, or the big Model 2 3D effort. Zero Gunner doesn't try and be a regular shooter as much. Whereas this has 2D mechanics but with 3D graphics. But I don't see any reason to really want to play this over something like Sengoku Blade. See, there's a bit of a priority glitch there on the left because you're hidden behind the wall. That's one of the issues with the Model 2 emulation in general. It doesn't seem to handle the Z priorities of things properly. The Z value seems to always be the initial point rather than interpolating it over the surface. So anything that's got any point close to the camera will obscure other things. Even if they're meant to be... Yeah, it's hard to explain, but you can notice it quite obviously in some games like Airwalkers. But on the other hand, it's kind of playable. Bit in there, see, a bit more priority glitch. Yeah, you can shoot the bullets. I think that's expected. I think that's one of the mechanics on this one, being able to wipe out the bullets. Hello, teddy bear. As you can see, with a few graphical fixes, this one would again be basically a fully playable Model 2 game. As it stands, it's a mostly playable Model 2 game. I'm running the Model 2A version, by the way, because the TGP has significantly lower overhead to emulate than the Shark, the 2B version, uses. But yeah. Yeah, we are over the 3-hour mark now, so when I'm done with this game, I will be ending the stream. There's also just not much to it. The levels are very short and get to these bosses. In some ways, it feels like a shoot 'em up for a younger audience, at least at first. Yeah. Maybe it's just a game by Bethesda. Maybe this is set in the sort of Morrowind, Skyrim universe. I can't remember what it's called right now. But, you know the one. Choose up all my stars, attacking you. Oh. That wasn't really nice. Anyway, Barrel Dwarf is dead. Now we're in the bathroom, where naturally there are sharks. But yeah, I don't think I actually would want to spend too much time playing this one, even if it was perfectly emulated. If I'm going to play a Psycho shooter, Strikers 1945 is the obvious choice. Or Dragon Blaze. This, it's okay. I mean, kind of just reminds me when Cave did Death Smiles 2 and just put fairly cheap looking 3D to make up a game, and their own experience in the field showed. Anyway, I hope everybody's enjoyed the stream, because I've had fun doing it. I don't think I covered everything I wanted to cover, but I did have a look at those new additions, which should be in the next version. It's just a shame there's so much controversy around them, which is likely to have other repercussions, and mean we don't see other games which we might have seen otherwise. But people made their choice in the matter there, and you have to live with that. Yeah, it's not just the weak emulation, it's just lacks substance as a game. There are better shooters with bees and wasps. A pity on the Amiga, for example. So yeah, let's just kill myself off here. A dog called Tom, who apparently is semi-transparent. It also lacks cows. I mean, we've got the dog there, just like the cow chase in Death Smiles. But the cow chase in Death Smiles is obviously far superior to being chased by Doggy here. It's lacking in Dodonpachi, is it? Anyway, as I said, that is going to be where I end this stream, because we are over the 3-hour mark. It is now after midnight here, and I don't want to be streaming into the early hours of the morning. So, again, thank you to everybody who's been chatting away. And I have a feeling I may have missed too many messages. So, if I've missed your message and it was something you did want me to read, please just, repeat it in the comments or something like that on the video, because it's kind of difficult to always keep up with everything everybody says. But it's been good having a chat with everybody. Lots of facts about the games I've been playing dropped into the chat again for me to read, and I always appreciate that, because a lot of these things I don't know myself, or haven't had time to research. And if I can read out what people are saying, it helps spread the message around and inform other people who are watching who may also not have been aware of those things. So yeah, thank you to everybody. It's been good, and I will see you on the next one. I'm not sure when that will be, but hopefully not too long. I mean, I'd like to get more into a good schedule again, because August I didn't really get anywhere near as much as I wanted done. But take care, and thank you, Bob, for saying it is a jewel or a gem. And alright, and thank you, Alpha, thank you, Mitchell, Mick, Lo-Fi Kills, Aussie Guy, Mo, Cow, Bob, and everybody else, really. I can't sit here and read them, because thanking everybody would take a long time. But thank you to everybody, you know who you are, and I'll catch you next time.